Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about how I would grow App Mafia to $1 million in monthly recurring revenue and grow each of their personal brands enough so they can be financially free for the rest of their lives and most likely set up their next kids and grandkids to be financially free as well. So let's hop straight into it. First off, who is and what is App Mafia? I would describe App Mafia as a group of four young adults and entrepreneurs who have basically dominated the app space, fully bootstrapped their own apps without VC backing, and made a shit ton of money. So let's go over who exactly they are. Starting off with Blake Anderson. He's 24 years old, being the oldest in the group, and he's made three apps that have done really well for him, which are Plug AI, Umax, and Cal AI, which combined are doing about $5 million in monthly recurring revenue at the moment. Moving on, we have Zach Yadagari, who's only 18 years old recently. He goes to University of Miami. When he was in high school, he built a website called Totally Science, which he then sold for $100,000 at, I believe, 16 or 17. And then he co-founded Cal AI with Blake, and they're doing about $3 million in monthly recurring revenue. We then have Alex Slater and Connor McLaren. Alex is 20 years old now. Connor is 23, I believe, which I found online. And they co-founded Quitter together, which is an app that helps people quit porn. And they're doing about $500,000 a month in recurring revenue. So you might be asking, why are we trying to scale them to $1 million a month? It seems like almost all of them are doing $1 million a month, and Quitter is probably going to get there shortly. Well, what they're trying to do is they're attempting to create this group App Mafia in order to build their personal brand, which is extremely smart because building a personal brand allows you to create a long-lasting piece of leverage that will last them a lifetime and allow them to always have an outlet of making money. We can see this in people like Brett Scales, Andrew Tate, Nathan Azareth, I think his name is. I forget, but he's like an e-com guy. All these people have massive personal brands, which have allowed them to sell courses, even create products that are just associated with themselves. Someone like Iman Gadzhi, if you guys know who he is, very big in the SMMA and just business space in general. He made his own eyewear brand. So anything that's associated with a personal brand, if you have a strong personal brand, you can basically sell anything and make money. So creating one nowadays is really essential, and it just allows you to basically make anything you touch gold. So how are they actually planning on building this personal brand? Well, they're doing so through platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube with clipping and videos, just putting out a bunch of content in order for people to see it. That's leading people and driving them towards their WAP mentorship, which people are paying. I think that's for $5,000. Their insider group, they have a free course on WAP, but then they have a $5,000 mentorship, which they're hoping people to pay for, obviously to make money. And then in the future, they've talked about how they want to launch their own SaaS or software, which is going to help people build apps just like them. So, what are the problems that they're currently facing that are preventing them from scaling to $1 million a month? Obviously, keep in mind they only started about a month ago or 2 months ago launching App Mafia itself. So they still have a long way to grow, but this is just the things that I don't think they're doing perfectly at the moment. So it seems as though the app niche is already conquered for them. All the indie hackers and people in the app space already know who they are. They're following them. They like them. They're the heads of this space. So the issue isn't in that. It's the fact that it's time to expand. And their current marketing efforts aren't effective enough, and their conversion funnel needs improvement as well. So we're going to talk about all of that and what they need to do to change this. All right, so let's get into their current marketing strategy. So their main marketing strategy comes through their main YouTube channel, which is App Mafia. As you can see, within the about month or so they've had this channel, they've gained already 3,000 subscribers, and they're averaging about 10 to 15K views, I would say, per video. But as you can see, an issue we're going to talk about later is that they're only uploading these two are about 3 weeks apart. Of me recording this, they actually just did post a new video, so that's about a week. So a week is a little better, but you could see that their uploads are very spread apart. But this is their one main YouTube channel. They also launched a podcast recently. I just want to quickly mention it because I didn't put it in this presentation. Personally, I would say stay away from podcasts. I don't think every fucking thing needs a fucking podcast, but if they want to do it, it's fine. It's helping their personal brand if they have time for it. So whatever they're into. And their other strategy for marketing is TikTokers and Clippers. This is obviously good. Almost everyone uses these nowadays. They have their WAP community where they pay out these Clippers every month based on their views. And you can see all of their creators right here. Sweets Universe, App Mafia, App Mafia Clips, App Mafia Posts. And there's obviously a bunch more. This video right here got about 700,000 views, which is really good, but most of their accounts, as you can see here, aren't really doing that great. So, what's working for them at the moment? The TikTok accounts with WAP clipping community is very essential for the top of the funnel and brand awareness, getting people to actually know who they are, the fact that they're rich, and just recognizing their faces. Then we have their long form YouTube vlogs, which allow viewers to get to know them more and actually relate to them. That's about the middle of the funnel. Another thing that's important for them is the uniqueness in being a group. And I believe this allows for many benefits. Since each person is unique, it allows for more chances for a viewer to relate to one of them. They might not relate to Blake, they might not relate to Zach, but they relate to Alex and a little bit to Connor. That's a lot better than, say, if someone watches Brett Scales content and they don't relate with him too much, then they just have to go to someone else and he loses out on that potential lead or potential someone liking him. So as a group, they have a lot more chances to connect with somebody. Also, group events and interactions are just always more interesting than just one person. That's why people love collabs and such. So it's basically a built-in collab for all of their content, which is insanely good. And finally, people love the getting rich with your best friend idea. So this group basically fits that perfectly. It's four of them getting rich with each other. Two of them got rich with their best friend. Alex and Connor got rich with Quitter. And then Blake and Zach both built Cali together. And now they're all forming a group. So it just feeds into that idea that people love posting about on TikTok. However, an issue with this is that the group dynamic hasn't really been done before that I know of. The most that people have done is partnerships. The Tate brothers. I think it's like the Onua brothers. I forget their names. And there's a bunch of other like best friend groups or brother groups that have done really well. And those I would say are the most viral, but no one's really done a full group of people of like four different people. So since it's new, they have to figure it out themselves. But I believe the potential upside is massive for a group versus just one or two individuals. Also, what's worked for them, we talked about it earlier. They've already conquered the app building niche, and they've established themselves as the dominant figure. So anyone getting into that space quickly will find out who they are and basically trust them because they're the best and most prominent figures in that space. So their issue is really just expanding upon that. So let's get into what's missing exactly. Currently, their content direction is unclear. Do they want to focus on lifestyle content, motivational content, or educational? At the end of the day, we need all these pieces of content in order to build a really good personal brand, but the issue is that their direction in each of their pieces of content is unclear, which I'll talk about later. The other thing is that their marketing isn't currently optimized for expansion to new audiences. It's currently optimizing to just build upon people that know about apps and the app niche, which isn't the goal. They've already conquered that. They need to get into new spaces now. That should be the main focus. So let's talk about the new strategy I'm going to propose. Let's begin with the YouTube strategy. What I believe they should do is have their main channel, which they have at the moment, but really focus this channel on just lifestyle and entertainment type of content. This is their middle of the funnel. This is going to get people to relate to them, to like them, and people have to like you to end up buying from you. So the more time they spend on this channel in 40 to an hour long vlogs, people are going to relate to them more, like them more, and the more time they invest, the more likely they are to purchase something. Also, though, they should have a business channel, which is mainly serves as education and trust building. People that get into this channel are, bottom of the funnel. They actually trust you already, they like you, and now they want to get to know your business model. So in this, you're going to give out free education, which makes them trust you even more. And they're going to learn more about your business model, which logically justifies why they should get into the same business model and then end up paying you to teach them that business model specifically. And this serves as the bottom of the funnel. We can see this type of procedure in a lot of people in the personal brand space, but specifically I point out Iman Gadzhi and Brett Scales, who I believe are really the two best in this space. As you can see, Iman Gadzhi has almost 6 million subscribers on his main channel, but his business channel only has 60,000 subscribers. It's not meant to appeal to everybody, but it's meant to serve as more education and appeal to the target audience who he's trying to sell his mentorship to. Same thing with Brez. He has almost 400K on his main channel, and his second channel actually has a lot, even more than Iman's, which is very surprising. He has 70,000 people who follow this, so obviously less than his main channel, but he teaches people real things on here. And you can see the differences just in their descriptions. Here he talks about his cool lifestyle, but here he specifically talks about how he scales brands with paid ads, and he's teaching you to do the same, and he directly links his training right there. That's the difference between these two channels, and I think this is going to perfectly convert for them. So let's focus in on the lifestyle content for a minute, which I think is the most important thing at the moment. What I believe they should do is focus more on Zach and Alex. Obviously, Connor and Blake are really important and they add to the group dynamic, but focusing on Zach and Alex the most is the best choice they can make because they are the most relatable to young men, and their young millionaire lifestyle with fast cars, being in college is the most relatable yet inspirational to these young people who they're trying to direct their content towards. We can see this in their TikTok clipping content because the most viral videos are mainly Zach on podcasts talking about how he's a millionaire in high school, but then also a lot of Alex's stuff where he's funny, making stupid like 6, 7 jokes and memes. Those are the things that people can relate to the most. So focusing the content on them, at least at the start, will really serve as the top of the funnel. And then as people discover who they are, they learn about the entire group and they get interested in everybody else as well. Another important thing is just highlighting the group chemistry. You want to focus on those unscripted moments because they build authenticity and trust, and it allows the audience to truly connect with them and like them, which is necessary for them to buy anything from App Mafia. At the moment, their content is kind of feels a little bit scripted. They're planning out their days. I'd like it to be a little bit more unscripted, which is going to build more authenticity and just have a lot more funny and stupid moments, which allows clippers to create that viral content. We can really see that in Brez's content, which is literally so raw and it's just him going about his day, which is why it went so fucking viral. The goal here is really to appeal to a new group of young men seeking financial freedom by relating to them, by also being young, brain rotted, and funny, but then also being inspirational to them as well because you're rich, free, and you have this, millionaire lifestyle. The aim of all of this is to make mobile apps into the new dropshipping or SMMA. Because if you're able to do that, they're already leading this entire mobile app space. So if they just get more people to know about it and think that it's a true path to financial freedom, and millions of people begin getting into the mobile app space and they're dominating it, and as long as they stay dominating it, they're going to make a shit ton of money and have a shit ton of people following them. So, what about the second channel? So, the second channel is going to be used for logical trust building. You're going to break down app concepts, monetization, and lessons from your previous launches. They can also repurpose core insights from their free course, which they offer already. And they want to talk about things like framework, what type of mindset you have to have going into this, and app validation in order to build authority. This is the most important thing. This second channel is for logical trust building and for establishing authority. You want to establish to people that you know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, they see the lifestyle, but nowadays that's can easily be replicated with bullshit. People, renting out cars and all that type of scammer stuff in Miami. So them actually building authority by showing they know what the fuck they're talking about, showing, their analytics, which they've done really well, which is why people trust them so much. Those types of things build authority, and it also builds the logic in the people's head for, okay, I'm going to get into this business because I can truly see that this business model works. It's not that hard because they're breaking it down. And, I see their analytics, I see how much money they're making. So it logically just makes sense to get into it as well. That is the purpose of the second channel. So it doesn't need as many videos. The videos can be very niche down, very educational. You shouldn't, these are planned out videos, but they're not meant to appeal to everyone in their main audience. So this is the new entire funnel that they're going to be doing. At the top of the funnel, they're going to have their TikTok and Instagram short form clips. The purpose of this is literally just brand awareness. People begin to like and be interested in you, and they're going to most likely discover you more on YouTube and other platforms. That's where the middle of the funnel comes in, which is their main lifestyle YouTube channel. The purpose of this is to relate to their target audience, show the possible lifestyle to them, and make them invest time into you, making them like you more and trust you more. Rather than just watching a 30-second TikTok clip, they're now watching 40-minute vlogs every single other day, which is just going to end up with them spending more time and liking you more. We then have the bottom of the funnel, which is the business YouTube channel. The purpose of this is to logically justify their business model, give out free info, which builds trust with the viewer. And it also makes you an authoritative figure in that niche, which they already are, but it's just adding to that for people that haven't been in the niche before. And finally, the aim of all of this is to drive people into their mentorship on WAP. And the purpose of this is to teach young men to become financially free with their own knowledge and to make money to reinvest into their personal brand and into whatever endeavors they want to get into in the future. So this full funnel, I think, is already really good, but diving a little bit deeper into some of these things that they can do to just add to this funnel and make it even better. First off, with the main YouTube channel, they need to be posting at least once to twice a week. I would personally aim for 3 to 4 times a week since they're just starting out. You want less polish, more authenticity, and just volume. At the end of the day, they don't have enough clips to supply these clippers with actually funny moments with only 3 YouTube videos. So more clips are needed and more authentic moments, which allows the clippers to have better content to make viral pieces of short form content, which are going to go crazy on TikTok and Instagram and get people to actually know them. This is the most important thing and should be their focus at the moment. Is this main YouTube channel, putting as much time into it as possible, literally recording every second of every day, and then formatting that into a YouTube video which isn't polished. It's just very authentic, getting people to know them. All the funny moments and, stupid shit is included. And that's going to get people to know them, like them, and it's going to give the clippers the content they need in order to actually be successful and help you out. And like we said before, with TikTok, as the revenue grows, obviously increase the spend on clippers. They obviously know this. I think an important thing as well is to possibly collaborate with other Miami influencers, collabing with people like Brez, Orangey, TJR, and anyone else in this like Miami guru, course seller, fucking like community. Would be really good for them. It's gonna get people to know them more, and they're gonna tap into new niches and new groups of people that have never heard of them. Also, I think definitely tapping in with Brez would be really good, as obviously he's at the top right now, but also he has a bit of a dynamic already with Alex, where people think that Alex is like the British version of Brez. So I think doing that on TikTok would go pretty crazy. And then finally, just continue using podcasts to grow their reach and tap into new audiences and make more clips for TikTok. They're already doing that well, but just wanted to mention it. So now let's get into their conversion funnel and optimizing it the best that we can. This is their current conversion funnel when it comes to someone applying for their WAP mentorship. They start off with a written application, which is simple and short. It states that it's a less than 5% acceptance rate, but there's really only like one written question. That's about it, and everything else is just basic information. Then they send you an automatic text and email, which is sent after about an hour or so, and it states it's from Blake, but it's clearly automatic and there's nothing personalized or unique about it. And then finally, you get to the Google Meet interview. I didn't want to go through with this because I felt like that was kind of fucked up. But they most likely go through why you want to join, ask you basic questions about why they should accept you. They don't really care about it, and then they just get into the payment. So this is their current funnel, which I'm not gonna lie, they're doing a lot of things right. They have the right funnel, but just fixing some of the things within it, and adding to each part specifically is just gonna convert for them better. So here's how they can improve. You want to ask deeper and longer questions within the written section. The aim of this is to make it feel like a real application, so it explains why some people are denied. If they really want to make it like less than 5% are accepted, no one's really believing that with the current application. You have to make it believable that you're really going through these and accepting them, which is what we'll talk about later. Um, but the best way to make it feel like a real application is to just give them more questions. And it also doing this, it increases the buyer justification and self-selection. They're basically justifying for themselves why they're getting into this, and they're self-selecting themselves saying, "Oh, maybe they ask a question like, why should we pick you?" This is literally the person themselves thinking, "Okay, why am I getting into this? Why am I a good fit for it?" And they're justifying it all themselves, so you don't even have to do that when it comes to the interview or anything else. Also, if we talk about improving the application acceptance, this is really important. I think you should remove the automatic part of it and make it manual. This doesn't really mean manual, like someone has to sit there and do it. You can get someone else to send it out, or you can get AI to do it. But the things that are really important is that they should only be accepted after a day at like 8 p.m. or so. I just said that. You can really do it any time, but they should only be accepted after they've sat for about a day. So the people have to wait. It seems legit that they actually reviewed it. And when they're waiting, it just builds suspense. And it just, when they actually get accepted, it's like a bolt of excitement and they really want to join at that point. Also, have a template message, but add something you liked about what they wrote so it seems personalized. Now that you have these longer written questions, you can add something that's very specific to their writing, so it seems personalized. People love this type of shit. That's why Quitter has done a great job of that in their onboarding. They say their name and they say, "Hi, Jacob. We came up with this amazing plan for you. Here it is." People love when it's personalized. So the whole point of adding that little thing is to just make it feel personalized, which is going to build authenticity, personalization, and it's going to make them feel like they were accepted into a small group, which is core human trait, which people love, like fraternities and everything. People love to be accepted into a small group. And later on, like I said, you can move this application to a team that does the same thing or to AI, but make sure it still says from Blake or whoever. You can change it every time, but just make sure that it seems like someone's actually reviewing it. But other than that, I think they're doing a really great job with this. Here's another idea how I think they can get more leads. Once they have more people that are watching their main YouTube channel, I think they should try and host a live event. Host a 4 to 6 hour live stream where you showcase building an app from the ground up. You know, and this is going to require a sign up via a website, whatever, appmafia.com, which is going to allow you to gather basic lead data, and they're going to qualify those leads, A, B, C, and D, and say anyone that's a A or B lead, they're going to have setters personally DM those best leads following the event with a recap of the event, information, and then possibly a link to more information. And then in that, you have a link to the mentorship or something along those lines. But just having setters personally DM those best leads is really important. And it's going to have a bunch of leads for you in your database. Also, doing a longer event allows people to invest more time into you and the education. They learn a lot within this event, so they want to continue learning it. So it's overall just a really good way to build leads and build trust and within your community. This is a proven high conversion strategy used by people like Brez, Iman, and Alex Ramosi. It builds your authority, and when you give out free info to people, they believe that the paid info is going to be much better, making them more likely to purchase from you. So, some things about their long term vision and ideas. Their main long term vision is a software integration. This is going to allow them to have long term scalability. It's within their area of expertise, which is software, and it creates two income streams now: SaaS and their info product. And software and info are the two best things to get into because they're both built once and they sell forever, which is the best business model you can create. And what I think is important is the mentorship feeding into the software so that people in the mentorship use the software with the proper teachings of the mentorship, and they use that to succeed in that business model. I think a great example of this is Daniel Bitton with Creo AI. If you guys don't know him, he has a super big personal brand of making YouTube short content and making money from it. And he actually launched his own software company called Creo AI. People in his mentorship got it for free and they learned how to use it properly. They use it, they make money from it, and they continue to pay for it. Even if they end up leaving the mentorship, they're most likely going to continue paying for the software itself. Also, other people in the niche see them using Creo and making money because they learned how to use it properly through the mentorship, and they'll purchase it and even possibly the mentorship because they see how well these other people are doing. So, doing software, I think, is an amazing idea. I don't think they should focus on it at the moment, but it is a great long term vision and idea for them to do. So, let's talk about their overall plan and execution. In the short term, I think the most important thing is focusing all their energy as possible on content and brand expansion. You want to post as frequent as possible and experiment aggressively. Give clippers as much content as possible for them to create viral reels, and it's just going to increase your percentage of going viral and your chance of going viral. And finally, just improving those small tweaks I mentioned with the funnel personalization just to convert more people. In the medium term, I think hiring additional setters, clippers, and video editors is really important. Start posting more on the second YouTube channel because now you have a lot of people watching the first one and your TikTok clips. So now you really want to dive deeper and build trust with your audience. Also, possibly planning and executing their first live event could be important at this stage. And their long term vision is really developing the software product aligned with the mentorship, transitioning to scalable team operations, and reducing the reliance on App Mafia members is important. And they want to build App Mafia as the face of the young entrepreneurship movement, basically promoting them as the new version of dropshipping or freelance brain skilling now because that's basically the new dropshipping. So now we want to change that into apps. This, I believe, is a great short, medium, and long term plan that is going to fully change App Mafia into what they are trying to become, which is the next big group of personal brands. I believe with this plan and proper execution, App Mafia can grow into way more than $1 million a month and become one of the biggest personal brands on YouTube and in the entrepreneurship space. A couple things I want to close out with. One thing I want to mention before we finish actually is if we go back to their YouTube videos, one thing I would recommend if the App Mafia people are watching, stop putting $1 million app founders and App Mafia. This YouTube channel is for new people to watch you. So you have to assume they don't know who you are, they don't care about apps. All they care about is, being rich at a young age and making fucking money. That's why this is a great title, and I believe that their new title for the video is also good. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you should be focusing on I'm an 18-year-old and I'm rich, da 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 da. That should be the title, and I just bought a Lamborghini. Whatever it is, those type of titles do amazing for any niche, day trading, drop shipping. So that's what you want to focus on, and then people will learn about the app space more. But you have to assume right now they don't know anything about it. So back to some of my closing thoughts. App Mafia is already dominating the app space, but they have to realize that they're new in personal branding, so they must approach it as beginners and focus truly on volume and consistency. I know they already probably think they're on top of the world, and they basically are. But if they really want to do amazing in the personal branding space, they have to believe that they're beginners and really focus on just posting as much content as possible, giving clippers all the opportunities possible to make viral content and make them go fucking ballistic. And that should really just be their focus. They have to treat themselves as beginners and look through it and in that type of lens. Also, at the moment, they have all the social proof that they need, and they truly are a group of smart individuals who aren't like scammers. Being a group also sets them apart from other scammer Miami course sellers, and I believe they have the potential to become bigger than people like Brez and Iman from the fact that they're a real group and they're actually making money. Anyone can search up these apps and prove they're making the fucking money that they are, and they show it when they pay cash for these fucking amazing cars. So they have all the social proof they need. They really just need more eyeballs on them. And finally, to end it all off, I know I might be an outsider to personal brands, but I've studied this space and taken notes on all the new prominent figures within the last few years. The App Mafia guys are super smart and they probably know most of what I've said today, but hopefully they can learn one thing or two from my outside perspective, and hopefully you guys can learn a couple things about growing your own personal brands in the future. So let me know down below what you guys think of my analysis, what you agree or disagree with. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on X, Jacob_Gelski. It's right there. DM me anything if you have any questions or if you want to connect. Please let me know. I'm working on mobile apps at the moment. I'm trying to become part of App Mafia. So let me know if you guys have anything else. But that's all from me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did and subscribe for more. See you guys in the next one.